เชียงราหุ่นป้องยิงปอดแรงงาทีมรู้ทีมสาหุ่นป้องโง่แต่จริงไรงาที่ไว้ดีอาหุ่นดีเมื่อนูดันสุดเพียงสุดอายอันเทโกอันเทกาอันเทโซอันเทราทุกวันข้ามาโกหงกันทุกทิ้งสาธุพินาดูนา
Hpangjat, Appendix, July 23, 1990, Brussel WACL zuphpawng shaga sumtang mungga. Mr. Chairman, honorable delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of our freedom fighters of Burma, I want to express my deepest appreciation for giving me this opportunity to submit the case of Burma at this meeting. As representative of the Kachinland Chapter, we want to point out that Kachinland is part of Burma and had shared in the suffering and oppressions experienced by all people of Burma during the past 4 decades. Burma came under the control of the military regime that overthrew UNU government in March 1962. Later, the military regime organized itself in an attempt to legitimize themselves under the name of Burma Socialist Program Party, BSSP. The elected prime minister, along with most of his cabinet ministers and many of the top political leaders, were systematically arrested, and many were killed. Many national leaders were forced to go underground. In 1988, freedom movement in Burma received a great stimulus when the people of Burma rose up in mass to call for a change in the government and the abrogation of the one-party system. After an elections commission was established, over 200 political parties were quickly formed and registered. The former Burma Socialist Program Party, BSSP, changed its name to the National Unity Party, UNP, and was granted special favors by the military regime. The regime then went about to systematically silence the other opposition parties and was confident that the UNP would win the election with their superior organizational infrastructure and government support. When they were confident that the election could be won, they set a date for 27 May 1990. On the other hand, Aung San Suu Kyi was put under house arrest, and the chairman of NLD, U Dinh was arrested and sentenced to 3 years of hard labor. However, when the result of the elections came out, NLD won 394 seats out of 485 seats in a stunning victory. The government-sponsored party received only 11 seats. The reason for this was that even former BSPP members and government civil servants and soldiers voted for NLD. In 1988, under mass pressure from the people and obvious total system failure and bankruptcy of Burma Socialist Program Party, the party was dissolved by official decree and ultimately replaced by the SLORC, composed of the top military leaders from the previous regime who took over in a coup in September 1988. In 1988, some of non-Burma ethnic groups allied with the Communist Party of Burma, CPB, decided that they had had enough and overthrew their Burmese overlords in the space of less than 10 weeks, starting with the Kokon of northern eastern Burma and followed by the Rawt and other nationalities along the China-Burma frontier. By late April, the whole CPB organization had collapsed and the top leaders had fled to the People's Republic of China. The people of Burma were looking to the non-communist war for leadership to fill the void created by the economic and moral collapse of communism. But the present military regime is being supported by profit-minded, self-seeking capitalists who want only to make a quick buck as they are given access by the regime to the natural resources with which Burma is so richly endowed. We call for the use of restraint by governments and businessmen, even if the profit motive and potential is great in Burma under the present regime. Under the present circumstances, such economic cooperation with the hated regime can only be viewed as a deplorable form of exploitation and economically and ecologically harmful in the long term. Therefore, we humbly appeal to this conference to support the cause of the freedom-loving people of Burma by using your good offices and by calling for action by your own governments as follows. 1. To prevent foreign investor from investing with the present regime. Foreign investment at this time does not benefit either the investor nor the people of Burma, but only encourage the present regime to increase its brutal suppression campaign of the people and prolong the 42-year-old civil war. 2. To put pressure on the Burmese military junta to free all political prisoners, including Aung San Suu Kyi, U Tin Oo, and former Prime Minister U Nu. To support the speedy transfer of power to the elected representative of 27 May 1990 general elections. We believe that we are seeing the final match being played out between the freedom fighters and the followers of Marxist ideology in Burma. We are hopeful that with strong support from the freedom fighters of the world that we shall be victorious and that we shall succeed in restoring peace, justice, and democracy in Burma. Once again, we want to express our sincere appreciation for your support and encouragement for our movement and for our struggle for freedom and democracy. Report on Kachinland Chapter, commemorating the 50th anniversary of the United Nations and the developing work of the World League for Freedom and Democracy, New York, USA, 27-30 July 1995. Mr. Chairman, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, on this auspicious day of the 50th anniversary of the United Nations, the opportunity given to us to present the situation in Myanmar, Burma, to the world leaders who are striving for world peace is greatly appreciated. In observing the current situation in Myanmar, it can be seen that Western governments are scrutinizing human rights and democracy issues and taking action against State Law and Order Restoration Council SLORC, but the businessmen from these nations and neighboring countries are dealing with SLORC in various undertakings, which are of mutual interest and mutual benefit to both of them. The result of such engagement stemming from different convictions is seen to be far greater for those who base their engagement on mutual benefits, thereby resulting in SLORC's continuing prosperity. If we look at the democracy situation, most of the Western countries have enjoyed independence for hundreds and thousands of years, and they have established democratic systems of government for a large number of years. In such system, starting from the children and the people have been taught the essence of democracy and the human rights, resulting in their appreciation and the valuing of the principles of democracy and human rights, which they all regard as sacrosanct. For this reason, the democracy system of government is able to govern smoothly with no opposition to its system of government. For this reason, and due to the close cooperation of a few nations that value peace and the concepts of democracy, the people of the world were saved from the scourges of Nazism and communism, the appreciation to such nation which no one can forget. The situation in Myanmar is that for many years until today, the country has been ravaged by a civil war that continues unabated, and for this reason, the establishment of democracy and human rights would in a theoretical sense have led Myanmar towards peace and prosperity, but in a practical sense, this will be difficult to achieve. For this reason, the perception of the Kachin Independence Organization KIO is that to achieve democracy, human rights, and equal opportunities for the ethnic nationalities, the various revolutionary forces should join together and step by step seek to achieve the following propositions through negotiation with SLORC. 1. National reconciliation. 2. Cessation of the civil war in Myanmar. 3. Cooperation in jointly securing peace, national reconstruction, development, trade, and commerce. For such close cooperation would lead to mutual trust and confidence. The various success flowing from such cooperation would also gradually lead to the instilling of trust and confidence in the people. 5. Only after the successful outcome of the above, negotiation should continue in respect of political solutions. The establishment of democracy, human rights, and the equal rights and equal opportunity of the ethnic nationalities. KIO has previously attempted to jointly carry out the above, but due to preconditions placed by various organizations and alliance on such negotiations, we were unable to secure a joint consensus or agreement to participate together in such negotiations. It was for this reason and for our convictions, the KIO decided to negotiate separately, and we commenced our negotiation with SLORC on numerous occasions commencing from 1992. These negotiations and close cooperation resulted in a ceasefire agreement being entered into on the 24th February 1994 with SLORC. Following the ceasefire agreement, the KIO closely cooperated with SLORC in resettling refugees in the development of the Kachin state and other matters, all of which has also resulted in confidence building on both sides. Through such close cooperation and friendship, the said ceasefire agreement has also resulted in SLORC releasing KIO prisoners of war, and arrangements are being made for the release of the remaining prisoners of war in the near future. Likewise, the 1991 Nobel Peace Prize laureate Aung San Suu Kyi, who released on July 10, 1995, top news headlines the war over, announced her intention to continue political dialogue with the SLORC. She said, "The aim of the SLORC is to return the power to the people. This is exactly our aim as well," and the SLORC chairman, General Dan Shui, stated that he would like me to help achieve peace and stability in the nation. I intended to help SLORC in every way so that we can return power to the people. This is not only my intention, it is the intention of all who want democracy, and it is obviously the intention of SLORC. There is no hostility between me and SLORC. What we need is a spiritual and intellectual reconciliation. In several occasions, she mentioned about the importance of ethnic nationalities to restore peace in Myanmar. As her father, General Aung San, said, since her release from house arrest, she is desperately trying to convince the people what she believes. Last year and recently, KIO issued statement twice expressing that SLORC, Aung San Suu Kyi, and the ethnic groups jointly work together as KIO believe that this is the time for all concerned people join hands and focus along one common direction for the betterment of the nation. The people of the world who are against narcotic drugs are aware that Myanmar, the second largest opium producing country in the world, some of the world's nations and some international organizations spend millions of dollars annually to combat the flow of heroin, only to be faced with opium-producing countries like Myanmar yearly increasing its opium production. The observations of the KIO in respect of this dilemma is that the policymakers who dictate the policy on the combating of the flow of heroin appear to be only establishments dictating policies that are incapable of being practically carried out of enforced. Due to the addiction of opium heroin, some Kachin people have been reduced to living in an inhuman existence. It was for this reason that in 1991, the KIO banned the cultivation of opium and vigorously enforcing such ban in all the areas under our administrative control. In 1992, these areas were completely devoid of all opium cultivation. It was only due to the practical application of this policy that the cultivation of opium was eradicated. But as opium was being cultivated outside the areas of the KIO's administrative control, effective measures taken to ban opium, heroin consumption and the sales and purchase of the narcotic drug has not been totally effective. The most important factor for mankind is for each individual to reach his or her objective. In carrying our undertaking, if there is no success when carrying our best policy for that undertaking, then a change has to be made to practically carrying out the policy to succeed. For this reason, if there is an objective desire for Myanmar to achieve peace and prosperity and to be free of drugs, I humbly request those who seek such changes to formulate practical policies and to assist and support us in this regard. Only when these objectives have been successful, further objectives to be pursued for establishment of democracy, human rights, and equal rights for the ethnic nationalities in Myanmar. If the international community will be willing to collectively assist us in this regard, we believe that Myanmar will, within a short period of time, achieve prosperity, and the people of Myanmar will once again regain their long-lost human dignity.